Our liberal arts are working here.
I love those kind of students that ask the hard questions, the annoying questions, the questions you don't want to hear.
So I actually want to extend a thank you for making my class better and for making my job easier.
I've had Anthony in 3 different classes during his time at Colby-Sawyer College, all of them outside his major. So I've been able to watch his development and really see him reflect, I think, the liberal arts ideals of the college. When I get, say, a business major like Tony in class and then see the way that he responded to the material, by the way he talked about it, by the way he wrote about it, that shows me, I think, that our liberal arts are working here. Yeah, Tony did a really nice job in each of these classes, both in expressing his ideas through discussions and in writing his thoughts down, and to go from sort of, left brain, right brain kind of thing, the business stuff that he does really well, to be able to really fit into courses which are filled with film studies folks or English majors, I think is a real tribute to what he's learned and perhaps for some of the ways we've prepared students.
When I found out that Tony was, 1, playing rugby, and 2, president of rugby, I still couldn't believe it. And it's funny because I regret it to this day, but Tony would always try to recruit me. Always, always, always. I wish I listened to Tony, because not playing rugby early was the greatest regret ever in my life.
He is listening.
Listen to Tony.
I've learned the lesson listening to Tony.
A lot of people don't really realize that Tony's responsible for a lot in the team. They don't give him a lot of the credit at all. And he looks good doing it too. He was coming with his suit and tie and the briefcase and everything.
That's the best dress on the team.
By far.
Always.
By far the best dress. Like I said, knowing the Tony that I knew freshman year, and the Tony that I know now, complete same person. I would have just never thought that he'd amount to the amount of work he had now. It's cool because Tony always kept he was always cool and calm and collective about it. It's pretty impressive, and people don't give him enough credit.
Just kind of the roots of the team that we built. Just
yeah.
Especially for me, I know that whenever I have a problem, the only person I really talk to is Tony. I go to him before I go to coach.
I mean, I gotta say, I got a lot of love for Tony. So, thank you for that.
I have known Tony for 4 years that he's been here. We first met each other. He was a player on the rugby team. One of the main things that Tony did to support his team, other than being a player, was to take on a role as a club officer. And quite literally, I think Tony has single-handedly run the club for the last pretty much 3.5 years, I think. Has done things ever since behind the scenes. And that speaks a lot to both his character, also speaks to his ability to manage and organize things, which I'm guessing is part of his nature, but is probably also stemming from his participation in the business administration program as a student. One thing that I've noticed about Tony over the last few years is he's added a lot to his plate, and he's done a really nice job of balancing those things. I used to joke around with him about how he's carrying a briefcase on campus, and he's one of the only students I've seen in 15 years to tote a briefcase, but given all of the things that he was involved in, it seemed that it was necessary for him to stay organized. It may have been his trademark. But yeah, it's one of those bittersweet things. I like to see my players develop and grow and graduate, and it's always nice to see them go away, but you kind of wish they could stay on forever, and Tony is one of those guys for us, I think.
Yeah, I was one of the first people I met at Colby-Sawyer. We did the Global Beginnings program. I just remember him being a really shy guy. Didn't talk much when he first got here, and he's completely changed since then. He's one of the most outgoing people I know, always trying to organize social gatherings, always trying to bring people together and have a good time.
Scott came to Alaska with me one year for Christmas break. He was looking for something to do for Christmas break. Scott, come back to Alaska. And cool. And then he did, and that was quite the adventure. We went camping one night in the winter. That was fun. When he butchered a sheep, I think that was a new thing for him. He was so eager to go somewhere he'd never been before, and it really opened up a new place for him. America's a big country, and you know, around a lot of places in America. That was really cool seeing Alaska. He got the big fan of exploration.
He does. He loves to travel.
Yeah, I remember what was it? Teaching him how to swim. He didn't really know how to swim.
Oh yeah.
But he didn't mind jumping off the rope swing.
Right. Yeah. He just learned how to ski. He learned how to swim.
When you first started with the class, you pretty much kept to yourself. Like you were working more individually on things and doing the problems on your own, trying to get the homework done. But it seemed to me like you worked on most things by yourself. But then you went from there to being able to TA for the class and answer their questions and have a much more social role with the material than you had before. TAing is very different. You have to interact with the student, find out how they're thinking about the problem, and present it in a way that makes sense to someone else is entirely different. I haven't had a lot of teaching assistants. I was a teaching assistant myself before I came here. But I think in general it's really a great opportunity for me, for the faculty member, for the person doing the TA, and for the students in the class.
I first met Jagat when he arrived on campus prior to the Global Beginnings trip to France. His first words to me were Namaste, which I send back to him tenfold. I also honor the light within him. He has grown, I can't explain how, but he has become a more confident individual. He has taken many business classes, of course, but he has provided himself with a well-rounded education by taking art classes, history classes, politics, what our liberal education curriculum has to offer. And I think it has created a well-rounded individual ready to face our global economy.
So Mike used to be one of my advisees, and he used to be an environmental studies major, and he learned pretty early on that he didn't want to be in environmental studies, and so he switched over to business and has remained interested in environmental studies, but has really found his passion in business.
All right, so I've known Mike since freshman year, and he's come a long way. He went from being very quiet in class to, senior year, he's very vocal. He'll tell you what he means. He has good opinions, and he's really come a long way from freshman year where, he still had the same opinions, but he wouldn't really speak up on them. He started his own company, him and one of his buddies. They started a company called Creation Supplements. And that takes a lot of courage to start something from nothing. And he's been doing that over the last 2 years, and that's a big thing for him. And a lot of people wouldn't have been able to do that. So he's been doing that, and he's also really, really good with social media. He made me really respect the power of social media, the way he markets things on there, the way that you can, just by posting something online, sharing that all these different people can see that, and you really open up opportunities. He's been doing that with his company. It's really helped him. His company is coming along very well.
Well, Mike Laskowski, when I was a senior year at Colby-Sawyer College, he was a freshman, and luckily he was in my same residential building, Danforth, same floor, and he was one of the crazy one, definitely. Over the period of time, I have seen him be in the soccer program, how he has grown up with being in the team, relationship and all those things, and also was a captain of the team last year, so that's a great opportunity for him to grow. And as I continue to work here at the college, I've seen him and definitely interacted with him in a lot of areas. And being a senior, definitely being involved in Capstone and all those things, I have seen his growth and sense of maturity over the period of 4 years. And hopefully this won't continue, and just focus on his future and do great. Thank you.
Suraj worked for me as an RA for a year, and I believe it was just his sophomore year, so his maturity was really profound at that point, being only a sophomore student. And then I think the one word that comes to mind when I think of Suraj is genuine. He's just insincere in everything. His interactions with you always feel like he's listening. He was a great role model, so people could look up to him and see the type of student to be, as well as the type of person to be. In his sophomore year, he really stepped up into a leadership position on our staff. The following year, he was a senior RA as a junior student, and he really took that seriously, and I saw him grow as a person a little bit more in terms of being more outgoing. He didn't say a whole lot, but I saw him over time kind of stepping up a little bit more and talking and saying his opinions and being a role model vocally. It's been a total pleasure to know him, and I wish him lots of luck.
Suraj and Jagat came to visit me in Mexico 2 summers ago. I don't know how much Suraj's knowledge of multiple perspectives or use of multiple perspectives was expanded. However, certainly it gave him an opportunity to put that in action. My family was deeply impressed, my Mexican family, by the sensitivity, the cultural sensitivity that Suraj showed in the sense of being willing to jump into any experience. Suraj showed the cultural sensitivity in the sense of trying to learn as much Spanish as he could, as rapidly as possible. And so for me, that's the real test. It's one thing for you to be exposed to knowledge about other cultures in a classroom and write about it. It's another thing to take that knowledge and then use it in action. And I think the plan is to set it up to have a repeat visit and maybe go visit some other parts of Mexico. And who knows, maybe try some other types of foods that you don't get in Nepal, like barbecued iguana and chilied and fried grasshoppers and that sort of thing.
Yeah, Suraj and I met at the Global Beginnings program together. They sent us to France for our first semester of college. That was quite the experience. It was pretty incredible to have Jagat and Suraj along with us. Just coming straight from Nepal, spending a couple weeks in America, and then instantly going to Europe. Must have been culture shock like no other, but they seemed to handle it pretty well, I guess. Suraj, he's always been a mature, stable force, and wherever we are, whatever we're doing. I remember one time our professor in France, Chris Kubik, said, "What would Suraj do?" I think is how he put it. And just make sure you get his input before you make any rash decisions.
He was like Ben said, Suraj always seemed to be a little bit wiser and think his actions through a little bit more than all of us. And it's a lot of fun. He's a great guy with just a great head on him. Pleasure knowing him through the years here.
He is a very grounded individual and comes across that way, is very competent, always has, and I believe he always will be. His coursework in the arts, I think, is dear to my heart. He has an artistic sensibility, which maybe a lot of people don't know about, but I think it's going to serve him very well in the business world, because I think that creativity encourages critical thinking, and I think that is important in the business world. So I wish Suraj well as he heads out.
I've known Amigo Khadga for several years now, and when I first met him, the first thing I thought was, that's not a Nepali name. But it fitted him. I first had him in my honors class, Foundations of Sustainable Living, and he was a real troublemaker in a really good way. I love those kind of students that ask the hard questions, the annoying questions, the questions you don't want to hear, the questions that Amigo kept asking. And I think he was better than any student I've ever had at pushing my buttons. He was really good at that. But at the same time, he was a brilliant student. He was an absolutely brilliant student. His papers kind of blew me away. But all through that, I kept seeing how he was growing and transforming, becoming himself deeper and deeper. He's really come a long way. And even though I haven't convinced him to give up his career goals and to do something more meaningful that he really wants to do with his life, he has the power to transform not just himself and his world. He has the power to transform a lot more than he thinks. I think Colby-Sawyer is losing a great deal when Amigo is going to graduate, and I think we're all can agree that we're going to all miss him greatly in his contribution to our college. Thank you.
All right. Well, I've known Amigo for 18 whole years now, and in the past 3 years I've seen him grow and mature to a whole new level. I remember him saying that just coming to a liberal arts college has given him so much more exposure and so much more to create and lead, do something new Just in 3 years, he has accomplished so many different things. One of his goals is to make a liberal arts college back in Nepal. So I think I don't have any doubts in him going back to Nepal in just 5 or 6 years and making up another liberal arts college back in Nepal.
I still fondly tell my students now in Intro to Comparative Politics about a situation that involved Amigo's work in a simulation they do. Because I have assigned these two incredibly thoughtful, peaceful Nepali students to be China. And so I'll be able to manipulate my way out of this. I'll be able to do both of these roles, no problem at all. I found out that Amigo is not only an excellent student, he can also be ruthlessly competitive. I suddenly found myself under a constant barrage of stern, clear, authoritative emails. And when I found out that Amigo was a business major and he was interested in issues of development and fair trade and social justice, I heaved a sigh of relief, knowing that if anyone can do big things, it's going to be Amigo. And I think we've seen that already.
Part of sustainability is the concept of social justice. Are we being fair and just to other communities and other people, as well as to people in our own community? Amigo led the effort to make Colby-Sawyer College the first New England fair trade college, and we celebrated that success and that recognition just a few weeks ago, and it wouldn't have happened without Amigo. We hope through the liberal arts education that our students graduate understanding and employing multiple perspectives. And in that regard, Amigo led the first ever Wesson Honors trip to Nepal. He and 3 other students went to a remote rural school in Nepal and volunteered, gave their time in January, raised funds to support that school, and created a bond between that school and Colby-Sawyer College that we hope will last forever. So my hat's off to Amigo. I congratulate him on his graduation. I thank him for the great things he's done at Colby-Sawyer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for making my class better and for making my job easier.
Now, I don't always fly, but when I fly Flyway. So, good luck to Flyway Airlines.